Good morning. So I'm actually going to journal. First of all, I love this jacket. It's from Free People, obviously. Just got it. I'm going to Air One to journal a bit because I have time this morning and I have things I have to journal through, and I'll tell you guys a little bit about them because I think it'll help a lot of people to hear what I'm actually working through at the moment. Super relevant stuff. Has to do with dating, self-worth, self-confidence, self-love, basically, the usual. Okay. So the truth is I have never been on like a formal date, and actually I think I have been on maybe one or two in Israel. And dating culture is very different in America than it is in Israel. And I kind of know that because I follow people who are dating experts or who have a dating podcast. And I also have a lot of clients who are American who tell me things like, you can't do this, you're not supposed to do this, this is a sign that this, and I'm always like, what the fuck are all of these rules? Like, what are you talking about? Show up to the date, be yourself. If it's a match, it's a match. If it's not, then great. Don't waste your time. It's really like an efficiency thing, to just go with no masks. Pun intended, but like literally no masks, like not literally no masks, with no masks of who you are to gain points or to get this person to like you. And I was on Hinge just kind of out of curiosity. I'm really not looking to date seriously. I really don't want a boyfriend. I'm really focused on my goals, as you guys know, and really loving to be alone because I was in serious relationships like back to back. So I was on Hinge just kind of, out of curiosity, out of boredom. And there were some cool guys, some nice guys, good looking guys, and that I matched with. And I was like, nothing here speaks to me enough to like go out of my way to like meet someone, especially when I'm not even trying to date. So I eventually like stumbled upon someone who I thought was actually really cool and aligned with me spiritually, which is really rare and hard to find, especially, in LA where I'm looking for something that's like very specific. And it seemed like, okay, cool. I like this guy's mantra on his page. Like, it sounds like he's like spiritually aware, conscious. And that's the most important thing for me, honestly. And I was really nervous for this date. And I'm normally like very confident. You could put me in front of like 200 people to speak and I'm not nervous. And you could put me at a job interview and I'm not nervous. And I realized that really we are insecure where we obviously judge ourselves most or where we have the most insecurities. And I think in general, I have the most insecurities when it comes to physical appearance, not because I think I'm unattractive, but because that's what I was bullied for as a kid. So that's where my wounds are. That's where I feel like I will be rejected, which is super interesting because if you told me, okay, like for sure the looks aren't a thing, go to the date, I'd be like, great. I think I have a great personality. I could talk. I have good things to speak about. And, I basically talk to people for a living. So I was super nervous unexpectedly. I was like really anxious about it. And I ended up feeling really pretty and like looking good and going on this date. And it was really fun, honestly. Like I had a good time. I was nervous in the beginning for sure, like anxious. And it was really interesting to see myself in that environment because I'm not normally insecure like that about my personality because normally I do things that I'm really confident in. It was nice to like observe what comes up for me, like where I actually feel like I need to prove my worth, prove my value, prove, and where I don't. And this was all subconscious, obviously. I'm just like looking at it from the outside down. And the date was fun and it was like 3 hours. It was a really nice place and we vibed. We made a lot of things in common, a lot of things that we both, read and listen to, and even like really weird things, like weird movies that we like and stuff. And the date ended and he dropped me off, and definitely like looking back, I probably would have done a few things differently. But again, maybe that's just me being hard on myself, and he hasn't reached out, after the date so much. So I've had clients come to me with this situation like, wow, I had a really good date and the person didn't reach out. And the obvious advice is, girl, it's just not it, and that's kind of hard for me. It's kind of hard for me to accept because rejection hurts, and it doesn't matter if I'm even not interested in him, which is also crazy. Like we want the other person to like us, even if we're not even fully sure we like them. And it made me realize that everything that's coming up for me now in this moment of maybe this was it, maybe this was the reason, maybe this was the reason, are all things that I'm still not at peace with in myself, and things that I'm not confident in myself. And I love that I have this opportunity now to kind of gain access to the parts of me that I still need to come to peace with and be confident in, because it has nothing to do with this guy. I barely know this guy. I've spoken to him for 3 hours. Like, he's a stranger, he's nothing. And it's just so funny how much weight we put on these people that we go on dates with because we feel like we just want them to like us. And I asked myself, what if, well, this is like naturally where my mind goes because I do this work a lot, but I was thinking of how I could help other people. And the question is, what if you put all of the energy you're putting into understanding why this person isn't interested in you into why you need validation that you are worthy, or why you need to have someone be interested in you to feel good about yourself? Because I see people spiraling into why, maybe it was this, maybe it was that. Girl, what if you're fucking amazing? What if you're like first of all, you are. Girl, guy, it doesn't really matter. You're exactly how you're meant to be in this moment. You're not perfect, but there is no other version of you that exists except for the one that exists now. And with the right person, it'll match when you meet them. And you have to be at peace with where you're at. Super interesting. And I'm just so happy I went on this date because obviously it's already giving me so much to talk about and to teach, and that's amazing. 2, it's uncomfortable, which means I'm gonna grow through it. And 3, I think that I was giving the right advice about dating for sure. And again, I don't think you need to go through something to know what's true about something. I definitely have coached people who are parents and I don't have kids, and coached people through dating, and I haven't dated properly. But so what I was saying was true, but I think that I am definitely a little bit more sensitive to how difficult it is to actually apply those things. And my advice is more refined now and more specific. So I'm going to air one now because when I'm in these situations where I feel like I'm understanding something deeply and I'm learning a lesson and I have to work through something where my mind is gravitating to somewhere that's not going to be useful, like what's wrong with you? Maybe you were too aggressive, maybe you were too this, maybe you're too that, which is like obviously not relevant at all. I go and I journal and I kind of walk myself through and kind of coach myself through it. And I'm really interested to see what's going to come up for me in this journaling session. I've been waiting to find time to actually be able to sit down properly and journal. So that's where I'm at. That's what I'm going to do. And I'm excited to share it with you guys. Hopefully this was already helpful. Okay, I have a beautiful setup going on here and I journaled like a good 1.5 pages. I still have a little bit more thinking to do. I will share what I wrote once I get home and I can read it properly so you guys can hear. I don't know if I'll read it word for word, but I'll definitely give you the gist of it because I think it will help you understand how to use journaling in a way to unpack uncomfortable situations and emotions and thoughts. And 2, it'll also help people who need to hear this specific advice when it comes to dating. Let's go. First of all, I want to express that I genuinely am at a place already where I feel grateful for this experience, an opportunity to learn more and expand my ability to help other people who go through this experience. Okay. It's funny to be in a situation where I literally need to give myself my own advice and believe it. So what's my advice for myself in this moment? Look inward. Instead of focusing on why he isn't interested, ask yourself why you desperately want someone you barely know to be interested in you. When you A, barely know the guy, B, don't even know if you are interested in him, and C, aren't keen on dating seriously in general. And the answer is obviously not relevant to him at all. It's all you. It's our own fear of not being liked, loved, wanted that is triggered by someone not wanting us. Spiraling into what I did wrong or why he's not interested makes no sense because I was 100% myself. Even if I did have anxiety, even if I did act from a place of ego, even if I did have anxiety and act from a place of ego in certain moments, even if I was awkward in certain moments, I showed up as me. I couldn't have done anything but what I thought was my best in that moment. The right person, timing, version of myself showing up authentically will be great for someone. And even if not, that's also cool because I fuck with myself. I really do. Being alone, when I'm alone, I really love the things about me that I'm afraid guys won't like. The content, the ambition and confidence, the spirituality, the story of my life, and whatever comes with it. I really do love it. My ego is bruised a bit because I've never really been rejected like this in such a blunt way. And rejection is never fun. Sorry, it's hard to read my handwriting. Rejection is never fun. But what if it actually isn't rejection? It's just incompatibility. But another thing that's hard for me to accept is the fact that I feel like I was delusional. Like I came out I can't trust my own judgment. We really had great conversations and a good time. It's an uncomfortable feeling to think that you were so unaware of yourself that you didn't notice what you were feeling wasn't mutual. It feels like there's something in your teeth and it feels like there's something in your teeth and everyone noticed, but no one tells you. But if I unpack this feeling, I have compassion for myself. I was nervous. I was nervous as fuck. I'd never been on a proper date like this before. And I did the best I could at the level of awareness I had. There's no need to be embarrassed. I literally hear someone, I can't say their name's voice saying, but what if I would have done this instead? And what if I would have been more aware? And what if this and what if that? Well, I wasn't. And things are the way they are. 2, this is all based on the assumption that there was nothing else that could have caused him to not reach out, which is also absurd. I think the most fascinating part about this is the power we give to people we barely know over how we perceive ourselves. If he would have shown interest in me, I'd be like, duh, I'm amazing. Him not texting me led to, what's wrong with me? When in reality and ideally, we should come back to a place of contentment with ourselves. Not higher confidence because someone likes us or lower confidence when they don't. Both are based in our ego. I just am. I'm not too good for him or not good enough for him. I do think it's worth giving thought to what comes up for me when I do go down that path of what did I do wrong, and shift the focus and reframe it. So here are a few things that I wrote about that came up for me when I felt like something's wrong, like I did something wrong. And the reason I'm writing these down is not because they're true, not because he was thinking them, but because it's an opportunity for me to see where my mind goes and where I feel like I'm not good enough. So the first one was that I'm too aggressive. I said a few things that I don't really feel comfortable sharing here, and did a few things that I don't really feel comfortable sharing here. I'm really embarrassed still on some level. And I think mostly it comes back to confidence. He was asking me questions about where I see myself in the future and about the life that I live, and I answered pretty honestly and bluntly. And then I answered to myself. So I wrote that I'm too aggressive or whatever. Those were the things that came up. And then I wrote, I don't know if aggressive is the right word because it sounds negative, but I am an intense energy and I don't think that's going to change. I don't even think it's something I want to change. It just is for someone or it isn't. And that's true. So when you write down all these things that come up for you that you think someone might perceive negatively, I then went through each one of them and said, is it something that I actually want to change, or is it something that I actually love about myself and that I want to keep? And being aggressive or confident is something that I'm not trying to change. It's something that I work hard towards becoming more of, and something I admire in other people. So if I was sitting with someone who said, I'm the next Kobe Bryant, I'd be like, fuck yeah. I love that confidence. I love that faith in yourself. I love it. So me saying whatever I said, I think I said that when he said, so what's the big vision? I said, honestly, you're probably going to judge me, but I think that I could be the next Oprah. And I said it with a straight face, and I believe it, and I mean it, and I'm not ashamed of that. And just because someone reacts to it negatively doesn't mean it's a negative quality. The second thing I wrote is that I mentioned something that I feel like I shouldn't have mentioned, and I then wrote, I need to let go of this and know that I shouldn't attach any of my worth to this and that I don't need to mention these things in the future. And that's me being honest. It's okay to learn from these experiences and understand that there were certain things I did when I was not acting from a place of being aware and conscious and present that I wouldn't do in the future. At the end of the date, I initiated a kiss, very short kiss, very simple, not something passionate. And that was another thing that I kept replaying as something that was cringy and embarrassing, because I even wrote here, I didn't even want to actually do it. I just felt really awkward and like was caught up in the moment. And then I wrote, this is kind of funny. It is kind of funny. And the last thing I wrote is that I'm afraid I wasn't listening or asking enough questions and I was talking too much. And this is one thing that touches an old wound, because I used to be told I'm a really bad listener, and my friends, I had really bad ADHD. My friends would be really mean to me about being a bad listener, and not mean to me, but just like really harsh about it. And I felt so bad because I wanted to be a good friend, and it just like hit a part of me where I'm like, wait, maybe I wasn't listening enough. Maybe I wasn't asking enough questions and I was talking too much, whatever. So this is just something that I wrote. I have compassion for myself because I was anxious and I wasn't as aware of myself as I could have been. And I'll do better to be aware of that in the future. So I guess the bottom line here is that I'm sharing this because I think it's super important for people to take responsibility for how they feel. And we focus so much outside of ourselves. Like, what about that person? Why didn't they message me? Are they going to message me? What did I do? And it's like, you barely know this person. Even if you dated them for months, like they don't know you as well as you know yourself. And most of the things that are bothering you have to come back to you. So get clear on what those things are and break them down. So you see, there's some things here that I don't even want to change about myself, that I was letting myself think are negative because he might not have seen them in a positive way. There's some things here that actually are kind of funny. And there's things here that I can improve and that I want to improve. And it brings a little bit of ease knowing that I take responsibility and will improve them. Yeah, so overall, I just want to say that dating in LA, well, I haven't really dated in LA. I went on one date in LA, but it definitely was a very interesting experience. And yeah, it's all a learning curve. I don't really feel available to date seriously. So I think that was also an energy I was probably carrying, because I'm not looking for someone. And even if I were to find someone, I'd kind of be upset about it. I said this before the day. I'm like, I really hope it doesn't go well, because I'm really focused on my goals right now and don't want a boyfriend. But yeah, that's just me sharing honestly and openly with you guys. And now I'm gonna go shower and literally go to sleep. It's so early, but I'm exhausted. I don't know what's up. I just worked a lot today. I need a good night's sleep.